and I'm on the phone with my mom at work, and I'm like, you need to come home now. Hello and welcome. If you are new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Michele. I run the blog Our Redonkulous Life, where I post topics about personal growth, mindset, mental health, just becoming the best version of yourself. I inspire others to figure out who they are, and then I encourage them to go after the life that they deserve. I have been debating back and forth if I should make a video about this, because a part of me thinks that they don't deserve it, but a part of me just thinks I need to put it out there and be done and over with. But I wanted to talk about my mom's loser boyfriends. There have always been significant events that stick out for me when I think about my mom's boyfriends. There's at least an argument or an event that happened, something that involved me, something that didn't involve me, that I was just there for, that just like sticks out in my mind. So I just kind of want to talk about that today and just kind of get it off my chest. Since the whole thing that I was going to be doing right now was going through each significant event that happened throughout my childhood to adulthood, I did that with my dad's death. I did a deep dive, and I found out a lot of things about him, about my mom, family members, things like that. I talked about being kidnapped by my grandparents, and it was very therapeutic to get all of that off my chest. And then I was going to do that with each boyfriend that my mom had, because they all played a significant role in who I am today. But then I realized they don't deserve their own videos. They don't deserve their own blog posts. They don't really deserve me giving them the time of day. So I'm making this one video to just run down what events I remember of them and how it affected me and what I'm doing to change it. So I talked in my previous videos and my previous blog posts and stuff like that about my dad's death, and a few days after my dad had died, they were doing his viewing, and my mom showed up to his viewing with a 12-pack of beer and her new boo. I didn't know that. My aunt told me that, my grandpa told me that, and I heard it from someone else. So I was completely shocked by that. Like literally a few days after my dad had passed, my mom already had a new guy. And they basically kind of like kicked her out of the viewing and said like, you can't come in here with the beer and everything. Well, that guy that she came with turned into my stepdad 2 years later. So they dated from the time that my dad died to the time that they got married. So that was 2 years that they dated. And I didn't know that mom brought Dave to the viewing. If this happened when I was older, I would probably have a different outlook of Dave. But because I didn't know that at the time, I always considered Dave like an okay stepdad. Like I don't remember him talking at all. I don't remember any argument or specific event that happened that made me think, oh, he's not a good guy. And it wasn't until I was doing all this research about my dad's death that everyone started telling me that Dave was into the drugs, which then apparently my mom was into the drugs. My dad got her off of the drugs, but then she met Dave and got back on the drugs, and that's how they ended up a thing. So again, when thinking of Dave, nothing really sticks out to me, but this one situation was the day that he passed away. Obviously, this is talking about death again, but I just want to say that he hung himself in the garage. I was 2 rooms away and did not know that it happened. I found some other things out about that night that it is not my place to say. It is other people's story, so I can't speak on that. But I just remember waking up to a house full of people. And I'm sure I was upset by it. I don't remember being upset, or I don't remember anything about it. But I'm sure, knowing that my dad died and knowing that Dave died, that it was just the understanding that they were no longer here. I was 7 when he died, so I'm sure, again, as being 2.5 when my dad died, I didn't fully understand. I just knew that they weren't here, and that was fine. But the thing that has stuck with me through all these years that I think about at least once or twice a week, and I don't know why, is that after he had died, I had a dream that me, him, and my mom went to the grocery store. I was pushing the cart, and my mom and Dave were in front of me, and my mom had her arm around Dave like this, and they were just walking. And I didn't think anything of it until I look in the cart, and in like the baby seat area is Dave's head. That is I didn't even have a dream like that when my dad died. I had a dream like that when Dave died, and that has stuck with me this whole time, and I think about it all the time. Like, that is such a messed up dream to have. So I can't necessarily say that Dave was a bad guy. I don't remember. Everyone who I talk to says yes, even though he didn't talk, he did have a temper and things did happen, but that's the only memory I have of him. The one other thing that I have to say about Dave is that I do think he had something to do with my dad's death. Not directly, but maybe indirectly, or maybe he knew something, I don't know. But the way that the timeline is lining up, it just kind of seems a little fishy, especially since my mom brought him to my dad's service. So they were either just started dating right then and there, when a few days after my dad died, or they were dating while mom was still married to my dad. You know, I said in my previous video how I think that my mom killed my dad, and I do think Dave was directly or indirectly involved. Again, it's nothing that I can prove. I mean, all 3 of them have already passed, so I wouldn't be able to prove it anyway. But it's just a gut feeling that I have that those 2 knew something. My mom and Dave knew something, and they just wouldn't talk about it. But I do really think that that's why he took his own life. As I get older, like, obviously the memories are a little bit more intense and everything. I just wanted to put that out there, that this is what I think about all the time. And I don't know why, and I don't know how to, like, not think about it. Like, I've never had that dream after that. I had it the one time, but it still freaked me out to where I still think about it. So I don't know what to do with that. But that's it for Dave. So a couple of years after Dave's death, my mom had a male friend come down from New Jersey. His name was John. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, all right, this is mommy's friend. And he was cool. Like, he wasn't like the best, but you know, they had arguments and things like that. And he stayed at the house for like a while. And I remember my mom getting so mad because he decided he needed to go back to New Jersey. And she was just upset. I remember they were arguing so bad one day because he couldn't find his passport and his plane ticket, knowing full well that my mom took it because she didn't want him to leave. She blamed it on me and my cousin Holly. So they're arguing, and he was like, why would the kids touch it? Like, blah, 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 you know, da, 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 da. And like, things started to get physical. So I somehow got the phone, and back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. So I had to call my sister's house number, leave a voicemail in hopes that she called home, her house, and listened to her voicemail to hear the message that I left. So I was unsure if she found it, because I was getting scared. My cousin Holly was getting scared because they were really raising their voice and just going at it. I remember hearing him say, where are they? Where are they? I'm gonna find them. Me and my cousin Holly hid in my mom's bedroom behind her big recliner chair in the corner because we were hoping he wouldn't find us. And all of a sudden, he comes in and grabs the recliner chair, lifts it like over his head, like he's gonna throw it on us. And just as he's about to throw it, I see my brother-in-law, my sister's then husband, come in behind him, grab that chair from him, throw it behind his head like it was nothing, and almost hit my sister in the doorway with the chair and got John out of the room before he did anything to us. That memory sticks with me all the time, even though nothing physically happened to me, but still it was a scary experience, and I don't wish that on any child. And after that, my mom ended up giving him his passport and plane ticket, and he went back to New Jersey, and I never saw him again. So now that we've talked about John, we're gonna move on to Mark. But first, I want to remind you to please comment, like, subscribe, share this with anyone you think would find this interesting. But now we're gonna get into the one that pisses me off the most. After John, a couple of moves, my mom ended up meeting this guy named Mark. And he had come down here, I guess, for a visit from South Carolina. They met online. But he ended up staying here a lot longer than what he wanted, because when he got off the Greyhound bus, he tripped and fell and broke his leg. So he had to get a cast, was on crutches, then never left. I can say that we had some good times. Like, I'm not gonna lie, we had good times, but the bad times outweigh the good times. The memory that stands out about Mark the most is that he was my first physical adult fight. I mean, he was an adult. I wasn't. I was like 16 or 17. But that was like the first fight I have ever been in. Like, I don't know how to throw a punch. I don't know how to defend myself. I've never had to do that before. And in this moment, it was fight or flight. And I needed to fight. So how this all came about was he didn't have a job, so he was home all day. He ended up drinking almost the whole case of my mom and his beer. And I think it wasn't a 12 pack, it was a 24 pack. So he was like drunk. And I came home from school and took my stuff out of my book bag to do my homework, went to go grab a drink, and I realized that there was nothing in the fridge. So I scrounged up some change and I walked to the corner store and bought myself a 50-cent can of soda. And when I came home, he walked out of the bedroom and was like, "You need to clean up your stuff before you leave." And I was like, I know. I was gonna do my homework, and then there was nothing to drink, so I just walked to the corner store to get a drink. And he's like, "I don't care. I said you need to clean up your stuff before you leave." And I was like, "Mark," I'm like, "I understand." I was like, "But I'm getting ready to do my homework." So I left it out to walk to the corner store and come back. Now I'm working on my homework. And he's like, "I don't care." He's like, "You need to learn how to respect your elders." And I was like, first of all, respect is earned, not just given. I said, second of all, I said, "You're not my daddy. Quit trying to tell me what to do. Like, let me just do my homework." And that pissed him off. So he came up and he grabbed me by my throat and swings me in to the tall freezer that we had our microwave on top of. And when he swung me, my arm went like this, and my elbow hit the knob of the microwave, and I got this nice little gash on my elbow. He took me from the freezer and swung me into the fridge and threw me up against the fridge. And when I fell back and I hit my head, I was starting to like slide down the fridge, and he comes up and he grabs me by my throat and it starts squeezing and squeezing, and I feel myself like losing oxygen and my eyes are closing, and I'm just like, "Oh," I'm like, "You can't go out like this. Like, you have to do something. You're not going out like this." So I kneed him as hard as I could in the balls, and when he took a step back, I pushed him into the table, and the table flipped up. My papers went everywhere. My drink went everywhere. And I went to grab the phone, and like he grabbed me, like got up and grabbed me. And I ended up like just starting just like wailing on him and just trying to punch and do everything that I could to get him away from me. And I ended up kneeing him in the balls again. And he fell to the ground, and I ran and grabbed the house phone, and I called my mom at work. And I grabbed the phone and I call my mom, and when I get on the phone with her, that's when he gets up, grabs his shoes, grabs his book bag, and gets on his bike and rides off. And I'm on the phone with my mom like, you need to come home now. Like, Mark and I just got into a physical altercation. Like, I shouldn't have to deal with this. Like, you need to get home now. And she was like, all right. So while I'm waiting for her to come home, I see he left his cigarettes, and in the fridge was one beer. So I grabbed his cigarettes, grabbed that beer. I went and sat under our carport, and when my mom pulled up, I was smoking a cigarette and drinking that beer, and she was like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? And I was like, whatever the fuck I want, because I should not have to go through that. And then all of a sudden my brother came pulling up and was like, where is he? Where is he? Like, I'm gonna take him out. I was like, he left. I'm like, as soon as I got on the phone with mom at work, like he grabbed his stuff and left. And then my mom starts like defending him. Like, oh, Michelle's probably like faking it. Like, you know how Michelle's always over dramatic. And I was getting so mad. And so that night after we went to sleep, he came home and went to bed. When I woke up in the morning, my mom was sitting at the table. She put the table right side back up and cleaned everything up. And I walked out and grabbed my book bag. As we're standing there like in silence, Mark walks out of the bedroom to use the bathroom, and his face is just so swollen. And his lips are like 10 times the size of what they're supposed to be. He's got scratches and welts all over him, and my mom's just looking at him like, and I just looked at her and I was like, do you believe me now, bitch? And I walked out and went to school. She's never mentioned it since then. Never told me that she believed me, never anything like it. She just dropped it. And I've had to live with that this whole time. That was my one and only physical fight that I have ever been in, and it was the scariest thing ever because I thought that he was gonna kill me. And it sucks because, again, even though my mom has passed, she never acknowledged it. Never acknowledged that happened. Since she didn't acknowledge what had happened, I think that was the day that I was fully over her bullshit. Like, there was always that sliver of, well, she's my mom, you know, I love her, you know, even though we didn't see eye to eye anyway, you know, because I think every time she looked at me, she saw my dad, because I would call her out on the bullshit, and I would tell her when she's wrong, and I had an opinion, and I think that reminded her of my dad, and was just like, I can't stand it, you know? So 95% of the time, we did not get along. And in that moment where she didn't believe me that this happened, that like completely wiped out that 5%. And I was like, you are a horrible person, that you wouldn't believe me that this happened. And that just like solidified everything else that I thought about her, that I was like, who in their right mind can do that to their kids and not believe them? You know, who in her right mind would blame her kids for stealing a man's passport and plane ticket, saying that we were playing with them? Like, the men she picked were not great, and it sucks that that's the type of life that I lived. And then even when I ended up in a 5-year abusive relationship, my mom was the one that was telling me to stay, and I was like, no, I don't want to stay. And she's like, no, but he takes care of you, he's such a good guy. Because he's a fucking narcissist. He's a narcissist. Everyone else thinks he is such a nice guy, when in reality, behind closed doors, he's cheating on me any chance he gets. He's taking other girls out on dates. He's leaving me home with no food, no drinks, nothing. But to you, he's great. But when I'm coming to you and telling you this is what he's doing, he's still great. So I ended up staying because it was either there or be homeless. So I did what I had to do to survive. And then when he almost R-worded me, like tried to R-word me, and the police were called and the police were involved, and they were like, oh, because you guys were in a relationship, it kind of seems like a boyfriend trying to see how far he can get with his girlfriend. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if we've done it before. I was drunk. So right after that, I was like, I need out. And I was like, Mom, I need to come stay with you. She's like, but he's so... And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. You date him then. You date him. I'm done. And so I went and lived with her. And I lived with her for a year. I got a job. I worked my ass off. I saved all the money that I could. Then I moved in with a friend, lived with them, ended up meeting Mike. And now it's 9 years later, Mike and I are still together. You know, so I don't feel bad that this happened to me. I don't feel bad this was my childhood. I feel bad that my mother didn't believe me. I would not change anything that happened throughout my childhood because it made me who I am today and definitely solidified what I want from a relationship, what I want for myself, what I want from my family. Like, I don't have kids of my own, but if my stepson and my stepdaughter came to me and said something, I believe them 100%. I will believe them because of what my mother did to me. My mother poisoned every person that she has ever come into contact with. And I don't want to be anything like her. And going through all of this, you know, shadow work and learning about my mom and talking with my stepdad Sal and talking with my aunt and my grandpa, my sister, my brother, like I see tendencies of my mom in me and I'm like, oh no, we are shutting that shit down right now. I do not want to do that anymore. I do not want to end up like her. I do not want to be anything like her. Nothing. But it's made me a better person because that right there just showed me that's not what I want. Okay, I need to go calm down. I definitely need to go calm down because like the stories itself don't upset me. It's more of the, again, inspiring you to figure out who you are and encouraging you to go after the life that you want. Is that if you have similar issues to mine, it needs to end with you. And that's the part that I'm the most passionate about. I've lived that life of poor me, my life sucks, like because of what happened to me. Oh my God, the world owes me. Everybody owes me. Like, how come people don't do stuff for me? Like, that's why my life wasn't fucking going anywhere. Because I was the fucking Debbie Downer. I was the negative Nancy. Like, I'll have a whole other video about the time that I decided to stop saying no and how shit changed. Like, if you want a video about that, let me know. I am a-okay making a video about that. But once I decided that I was going to be the change, that is when everything started to change. Is my life where I want it to be? Am I rolling in dough and like I'm financially stable and all this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But is it 100% better than what it was when I was younger? Absolutely. And that's the only thing that I could ask for right now. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And share it with anyone who you think could benefit from watching this video. And I will see you guys in the next one.